Yo, this AI shit burning up the
Mm.
atmosphere. Like I just had to tell a writer whose agent or publicist reached out to me.
Mm.
I had to turn him down as a possible read for the show because they used AI art on
Uh,
Facebook. And I was like, dude, I just can't countenance this shit. And here
mm.
Google is, biggest company in the world or whatever, one of them.
Yeah.
And they have to use this just nightmare
Yeah.
creature. To me, it's like the nuclear bomb. Like we're in the nuclear age, but it's the language model age, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a complete neural network, super sentient AI than like just hoovering up everybody's work and then selling it.
Yeah. You're like, at least that one would be original if it was like a killer
Right.
AI.
Like he might write every movie or they might write every movie, but at least you'd know like there was a mind back there somewhere.
Yeah. That's true. It's like without the sentient, you're like, no, then I don't want it. I don't know. I feel like people, at least, I think it's like when if you look at like furniture, or something, and it's kind of like, even if I'm thinking in the future, it's going to be like, most of it is AI generated, but then there's like niche market where it's like, this one is made by humans, and people are like, ooh, like some kind of
Yeah.
pottery made by humans, kind of.
If I had a replicator, I would totally replicate like the Sears custom home from the 50s or something, like, or some era or mix of eras. Cause like, yeah, you could have handmade, but it just comes out of a machine. Whereas now, if you get a machine built thing, it's exactly the same as everyone else's. Like it doesn't have character.
Oh, so Sears was like handmade with machines? I don't get it.
Well, but people touched it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like there's something about taking the human element out of things that
Mm.
makes it inhuman.
Yeah, that's the definition, I guess.
But if you had a replicator that could get it down to an exact replica.
Mm. So you want to have like a human-made object, but then replicated for you?
I guess what I want is for it all to. Geez, now I'm contradicting myself. I want all furniture to be a perfect replica of something that was already made, but there's so much of
Mm.
it that you could pick from the things, and like that's how you do your individuality, rather than
Ah, okay.
each piece being made by a person. They make a
Mm.
lot of business in Star Trek about the difference between replicated stuff and real person made stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm all over the place today. Like I'm anti AI. Oh, but if I could get just the right thing.
Yeah. But that feels like it should be the right thing, to be like, okay, I want only AI for this. Like you could be
God.
like this and cancer detection. Like these are the two.
And it's my decision.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Great and Secret Knowledge, a speculative fiction podcast. I'm Jeff, and with me, the wonderful, the talented Sophia.
Tjenare. Hur är läget?
Ooh, what's that mean?
That is the Stockholm accent greeting.
That's great. Okay, we're covering The Next Generation once again. Episode 19 or maybe 18, depending on which service you're on. And yeah, coming of age. What did you think of coming of age, Sofia?
I thought it was okay. You know, for a while I was like, I don't like this episode. But then I was a little bit more okay with it at the end.
I thought the first time I watched it, this time, because I'd forgotten most of it, I was like, man, fuck this Remick guy. These plots are all over the place. But for some reason, the more I watched it and like heard it discussed, like I watched an entire commentary track with the writer Sandy Fries, and like now I'm like too into it. It's weird. I wonder if that's a common experience, like when you learn more about a thing.
Yeah, good question. Would you be... I mean, I think that with TV and movies, that would probably be the case. Because you're like... It's like with... If you're watching like a TV show or something, you can be like, you know, they didn't think about this. They didn't like... And then when you learn about it behind the scenes, it's like, no, we couldn't do it because this other person died, you know. We had to do it like this. So I'm sure then you're like, oh, okay, now I appreciate it more.
Yeah. Well, this one was written by Sandy Fries. Looking over his IMDb, he's mostly, after this, was a kids show guy. He did like Care Bears and other stuff. He did like one episode of Quantum Leap, and then I think his most recent credit was one episode of no, it's not his most recent. Spider-Man the Animated Series in 1996, and after that he did a video game. But yeah, he did a lot of things right in this episode. He came up with some innovations that stick with the show. But this episode is all over the place. It's like 2 or 3 episodes in one, I feel. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel especially, you know, you have in the in Wesley's story, they're introducing it like, you're gonna have a really hard test, and I'm like, you don't have time to do a really hard test, it's too short, you know. So like, I feel like if it was only his story, then I would be more invested, because then I would like, oh yeah, they're gonna have like more time for it. But now they introduced this like a whole like exam and another plot at the same time, and it felt like it was I don't know, I felt like they could have maybe, if they had presented it differently, maybe you would have believed that there would be some repercussions. But now it felt like just the plot felt like it didn't really fit in this space.
Yeah, and all 3 plots touch on a similar theme, and they like interweave a tiny bit. But if there was just 2 of them, I think it could have played up a lot of the connecting tissue better.
Which one is the third plot? I only think of 2.
Jake stealing the shuttle because he's bummed out about his dad.
That's a tiny plot. This is like the first scene and the last, pretty much. No,
Yeah.
not this. It's like 3 scenes.
Yeah, it gets resolved more or less right away, and then the A plot. No, it's the B plot, because the A plot is Wesley. The B plot with Remick and Quinn and like the investigation like stops really early, like 10-15 minutes before the end of the episode. So yeah, there's just, I don't know if you call this pacing or what, but something is a little clunky.
Yeah, I think probably pacing, because I would feel if this was a present TV show, then like the Wesley story would be at least 2 episodes, so that you would have time to kind of like, okay, establish this, do this, and then it's like, now it comes to this. Because now we just feel like, but maybe it's also about what they introduced. You know, there was so much stuff that didn't really pay off. There was just like, oh, this thing is here. Mm.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of feelings about it. I thought before we watched it, I was like, this will be a quick one. We'll just rush through. We start in orbit around this red planet. According to the writer, Sandy Fries, the guy, Mike Okuda, the set director, set designer or whatever, he just cut a hole in some wood or cardboard or something and shot a steak. So like the light parts are marbling and the red parts, I think they put a color filter over it, but yeah, it's just a steak. I'm gonna turn this on so I can see what's going on. Oh, Wesley's running after this guy named Jake.
Yeah, and this was a weird start. Like, I liked it in some sense, but I was like, wait, is this part 2? Did I watch part 1? Like, do we know Jake? I mean, I don't know, but maybe he was in another
only
episode.
In this episode.
Oh, no.
I'd love to say that he came back and he got his shit together. Maybe went to Starfleet Academy or something, but no, he's in and out.
That's funny. He's just like, you don't see that at the next year he didn't make it either, and then he was just like depressed and went back to Earth.
Yeah. So this 15-year-old beat this grown-ass man by 32 points on the initial exam. Wowzers. That's got to be soul-crushing. I mean, maybe he's not supposed to be old.
Yeah, that's what I was also wondering.
He looks at least 20.
Yeah, I agree. He looks very grown up.
So they're in orbit around Relba 7. And we learn that Wes is going to test to join the Academy. So a lot of the internet finds this a weird setup, which is only 4 people take this final exam at this station.
But I thought it was maybe some kind of like, you have different bases and people can come and apply on different bases, you know?
Yeah, so they happen to be out in BFE, and there's like, that's bumfuck Egypt for our overseas listeners. But so maybe there's hundreds of them, and this is between wars, so maybe they don't admit as many because there's only so many ships.
Yeah, that could be. But I also, it is an interesting way anyways to have like only 1 of 4. Like, so did they choose then? I guess they chose like we have 4 spots and then people can apply to go to these 4 spots.
As soon as Lieutenant Chang said Murdoch and Wes were up against it, like up against each other, I just wanted shots of the Vulcan lady to Shauna or to Shanique and Oleana. I wish they'd just cut to them and their faces fall, and then he's like, "You two can leave, ladies." Like, because what the fuck are they doing there? Are they like getting points for next year? I don't know. They should move on to the Kansas recruiting center and try again.
The Kansas? Why?
Oh, that was just I was trying to make like an American Idol type thing, but Kansas is not. They've probably never recruited in Kansas.
Oh, so it's the idea that if you go to like a small place, then it's easier to get in.
Yes, that was the germ of a joke that didn't go anywhere.
I was thinking about this also. I was thinking maybe the Enterprise, they're like, let's go to this in the middle of nowhere, and then Wesley will have better shot. So it's like,
I like that headcanon.
Yeah, and all of the other candidates are just from this little station thing in this planet. So then they're like, oh, also this guy.
It sounds like you can only take it once a year, though, wherever you take it.
Yeah.
It should be like the DMV, where like you just have to wait 3 months and you can try it again.
Yeah. I mean, and also, can you do it as many times as you want? So you could be like 40 and be like, oh, I will take it again.
There are lawyers who had to take the bar like 6-7 times. Like it's a real thing. And I bet like when a war starts, they're like, oh, we got to take these 20 testers just because they won't go away.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wonder, yeah, I don't know. It is, but I don't know. I don't mind it as like, it's a fun, if you have like only one spot and you have the compare, it wouldn't have been that interesting if it's just like everybody who gets 95 points gets in, then it's not as fun.
Some people find it unlikely that Wesley could beat a Vulcan at any intellectual task. Like, they're just supposed to be superior to humans. But that they didn't keep that canon in this one.
Yeah, and I guess it could be, I feel like there's room for different, like, even if you're like, okay, this one is better intellect, I would feel like there could be a lot of different reasoning, that could be like, oh, this is not exactly intellect, like they're doing some kind of weird, like 3D math, not math, but like some kind of visualization. So maybe it'd be like, no, this is not intellect, this is just the eye coordination or something.
It's funny that you mention that, because Lieutenant Chang does at one point say it's about more than that, about the visual typey part of the test.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get into what that means. But I feel like if it had just been these two plots, the academy and the investigation, that we would have gotten more sense of what that is. Instead, all we got was like, put in your vectors or whatever. And it's like, the guy didn't know to do that. Like, surely he did some prep. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, why? And could you make it somehow that like Wesley's story interacted with the ship testing story, that it's like,
that would be
somehow
awesome.
Yeah, but I can't think of anything. Like, it would have to be something where, I don't know, maybe it's difficult to get.
Maybe Remick creates a specific scenario to test Will. See, we're talking about a different, better episode.
But we can't even think of one, though. We will think about it. We will rewrite. No, it's just, I think it's fun. It's like when you look at an adaptation, I always think it's fun to be like, okay, but like, how do you adapt this in the best way? And I think it's the same way here. It's like, if you did a remake, like, how would you remake this one? Would it be possible to like twitch it around a little bit?
I think it would be really cool if Wesley was called to what he thinks is another academy test, but then he has to go onto the Enterprise, and it's like immersive, and like maybe even Picard and Remick are looking through a one-way glass type situation. And like,
yeah.
Remick's like, you trained this kid, like, look at his indecision and his sloppiness. And Picard just slaps him.
Yeah, that could be fun. Or it's like, it is some kind of situation like that, but they don't know who is being tested. Like, is it the crew or is it Wesley? Ooh. So either, like, is it like, who is, like, in which test is this? So maybe that could be some kind of, where we as viewers don't really know.
I like this. Sandy Fries, the writer, he said he named Lieutenant Commander Remick that because it had the sound ick in it. And he was supposed to represent all that was bad. He kept calling him a rat bastard. So we get Admiral Quinn and Remick. They're going to investigate, but he won't give any evidence, won't give Picard any reason why he's being so secretive.
Yeah, and there's no reason that they didn't allow Riker to be there, because there was no... They were like, we're not going to tell you anything. Okay.
It doesn't even pay off by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And the relevant episode that follows on this plot line is like 4 episodes in the future. They didn't even have the like conviction to put them next to each other. It's just absurd. But that's not Freeze's fault. That's just production nonsense. This interview I saw, were like, so you came up with benzites, the people with the dry ice thing under their face. And Mordock, the specific character, and Remick, this asshole guy, And he's like, did you ever get paid for that when they brought him back in the future? And he's like, no, I'm glad you mentioned it. I should contact my union, the WGA. I was doing a little research. He was a staff writer, but he wasn't credited on a lot of the episodes.
So I just have to
Yeah.
ask about Remek. Is Remek the guy that is doing like all the control, or is it the general guy?
We don't even know for sure. Like,
No, I just
the
mean
admiral's asking. The
the admiral.
is allowing him to be a total dickhead.
Oh yeah. I was just confused about if the admiral was Remek or if it was the other guy. I forgot the names.
Oh
of it.
yeah, Admiral
Oh, yeah.
Quinn and Commander Remek. But yeah, we never even find out if like why the admiral's letting him be such a dickhead. What's motivating it?
I felt like it was some kind of. It's like a test for promotion, you know. So if he had found something,
You're right. Oh,
Yeah. so we
that's
did
what he
like.
says. See, I'm befuddled because of that future episode. I know the real
okay.
reason why. It's not just about getting him into the academy. And so I totally forgot about that piece, right? He admits that he just wants him to join. But it's like his little political cabal. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is strange. And like I didn't like the Remick because he had a boring face. You know, I think that it's like they should have more interesting faces or something. But maybe that's the point.
I think it's a season 1 problem. Like they just don't get as many great guest actors as they do in future seasons. Maybe it's a budget thing or direction. I'm not sure. But yeah, Remick is, even Admiral Quinn a bit, like they're a little bit one note.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason that I find it like boring. But like make him an alien then if it's just like doesn't look very interesting.
That'd
and
be
he's like
great.
doesn't do that interesting. You could have like some kind of
Dude, what
weird
if he was a
face on him.
Vulcan?
Yeah, but then he couldn't be like angry or anything, right? Then he would just have to be like, tell me this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, the writer was glad to get the assignment because he said that like it's kind of boring to write for like respectful characters. It's more fun to write dickheads, or as he says, rat bastards.
And I imagine it's like very like if you have this kind of story where everybody is supposed to be very professional, it can be kind of boring because then you don't have any, you know.
Yeah, he provides the heat for the episode. But
Yeah.
because the actor's a little wooden, it feels like a put on.
Yeah.
Until that moment where he's like, I hope you'll think of me for joining the Enterprise, Captain. And I'm left to wonder, like, was he faking that attitude the whole time? Or was that like a style of investigation, like make everyone mad so that they crack a little bit? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think probably the style, but it can't have been fully intentional if he then is just like, oh, I want to work here, without like taking any step between that, just being like
Right.
going from this kind of like,
If I was going to do that, I'd be like, Captain, I'm so sorry I had to pretend to be a fucking dickhead.
yeah.
I really would love to work with you in the future.
Yeah, I also feel like it feels a little bit bad. It feels like, what do you call it? Like if you're coming in to audit an organization and then at the end you're like, can I get a job here? That's like, no, you must finish your audit first and then.
I know,
So-
the Admiral should have been like, what the fuck, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that I think that it was a fun juxtaposition because it's like you said, he seems like so critical about everything, and in the end he's just like, wow, this is the best place I ever audited, you know. But I think that could be said in some other way than just being like, can I work it?
Yeah. Well, maybe even like they didn't do this kind of thing a lot back then, but maybe even a scene of him near the end talking to Riker or somebody and being like, man, I really wanted to ask Picard for a job on the bridge, but, I thought that'd be tacky.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Like having a drink at 10 forward, admitting.
Oh, yeah. And then it could have been like a nice end for Riker, because I felt like he didn't really get any kind of arc either. It was just like, so it could have been nice if they kind of made up and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, no hard feelings.
Yeah, but they can't do it because they have in mind this. He has to continue to maybe to pretend to be an asshole. Yeah, I think nobody can know. But then why tell the captain you want to be on a ship? You're kind of fucking up. Like, what if he tells his crew that you said that?
Yeah.
So Admiral Quinn is here to find something, quote, very wrong on the ship. I think it's him. One of them says we've known each other for years. Picard says that because he's like, you want to fill me in? What the hell's going on? And the Admiral won't say. He can't share his evidence. So we find Wesley on the station, and this lovely lady walks in. Her name is Oleana. And she is impressed to meet Wesley because he's had actual experience on a ship. Sandy Fries said that she was kind of supposed to suggest Wesley's girlfriend, but like Wesley wishes or like has all these feelings like he's a kid. So like, and he said, if somebody looked at me when I was 17, 18, and I thought maybe they liked me, there might be something here. She might be the one. And he thought it was a way to make Wesley more likable and more fallible at the same time. He's like, I'll be 16 next month. That's like a child saying, I'm 4.5. No, I'm almost 5.
Yeah, but I was also not sure, like, because they were like, oh, aren't you too young? And then when he said that, it's like, okay, is that then the age requirement? Or like, I guess anyone could take the test. Is that what they're saying? But it's just like, maybe you're too young to be able to pass it.
Right.
But how old is she supposed to be then?
Oh, well, this is maybe one reason why she can't be his girlfriend, because she's clearly like 20-something. The actor, at least. Yeah, I don't know how old she's supposed to be. But see, there again, if this subplot had more room to breathe, people could be like, wow, can you believe how young cadets are these days? We've got a 16-year-old boy and a 17-year-old girl and like a 45-year-old Vulcan. Whatever. They age slower, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. And I was actually wondering about this. Like, is it a requirement that they have all the actors on each week? Or could it be like, oh, this one is only Wesley, and then like no one else is on for a week?
Oh, they almost never do anything like that. There's one of my favorite episodes is where Beverly Crusher is something's happening and like members of the crew keep disappearing. And the surviving crew members don't remember them. Oh. So it's kind of like, is it a time thing? Is it a mind control thing? Is it an evil AI simulation? It's like a real mystery. But by the end of it, it's just her alone on the bridge. And the records state that she's only ever been the only crew member on the ship. It's amazing. So yeah, they're not afraid to do it a little bit, but it's not like today where you could just have that person's story on an episode.
Now I want like some kind of like Picard After Hours or something.
Yes. The closest we get to that is when he goes to Risa, the pleasure planet, and meets an archaeologist, and they go on a little jaunt together. Vash. That's her name.
I guess I don't know enough about the logistics, but like I've heard when people discuss modern shows that they're like, no, this person has a contract that they probably have to be in this many episodes. Like, so I think it's also something where you can't, at least nowadays, you can't just retain certain actors and be just like, maybe we'll use you, maybe not. Because I suppose for them it's also important that they are actually get screen time. They can't just be paid and then be put in some vault, you know?
Yeah, watching early Star Trek is like seeing that process in action of like, well, I guess Geordi is in this one, even though he has one line and it's not related at all, you know? Yeah, they always have to stick people in. You see it a lot in Deep Space Nine when they'll be on a full-on sci-fi plot and Quark's there for some reason, the bartender.
Yeah. I was also going to comment on the base that it's funny that, you know, I guess this is a little bit going into different things, but it's like they talk a little bit later on about the cultural differences. But I also thought it was funny that everybody was like shaking hands in the beginning. I'm like, oh, is this like the universal greeting? Or I feel like there should be something like, oh, no, we greet like this. And it would be like different greetings. But I don't know.
See? You're already writing a much better episode. Yeah, each recruit could be like, this is how we do it, you know? And the beta or the Benzite like rubs the top of his head while patting his belly or something.
Yeah, and I feel like Wesley could have known this because they have the thing about that he knows the other thing.
Oh no, you go counterclockwise, Wesley.
Yeah. But I don't know actually how you would do it. That would also be interesting. Like, how would you do greetings if they're different species? Like, is there some kind of, you know, okay, we are on your planet, so we do your greeting, or should it be like that could be also fun to like have the negotiations of it. But I feel like the handshaking would not be the standard greeting. That feels weird.
No, it's being phased out now just due to its unsanitary nature.
Maybe that's why, like, but that would also be funny if everyone was just like mouth kissing or something. They're like, this is our greeting. Now we have to do it.
Blofnart. Kiss on the mouth. So, Tashanik of Volcana Regar, we barely know her. This is where we learn he's only 15. Mordok is super reserved. And this is a whole lot of promise for a plot line that doesn't exactly soar. Next, Remick is stalking around the bridge. She's annoying everyone. And Riker rushes into Picard's office to complain. And he does the Riker maneuver, where when he sits, he steps over the low back chair. It's incredible. I was doing a little research on that before we started.
No, but I'm wondering about Riker because I don't like his character, and I wonder, like, is it the actor's fault, or is he supposed to play someone that is like not likable? Does he try, like, because I feel like he's always being like trying to look cool, but he's not. And then I wonder if it's like, is it supposed to be like that he's a little bit, I don't know, I'm not saying like, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe he's aware of his position and he's kind of like being a little bit over the top with it. And I wonder, is that part of his character?
It's almost like his default state is pissed off and dominant and like ready to go. And that's not a thing with other first officers we met. The first one we meet is Spock, who is not aggressive really ever. Chakotay on Voyager's pretty mellow and easygoing, except when he's like in a state. But yeah, Riker just walking around, he's like, "Urgh." Unless he's happy, then he like lights up like a Christmas tree. That happens a couple times in this one.
Yeah, and I guess I feel like it feels a little bit, I don't know. I will have to think more about like what I feel about his attitude. But it's somehow like he's like a little bit like this when he stands in different ways. I'm like, Don't be silly.
Apparently, he had just hurt his back at a previous job, or maybe
Okay.
it's a long-term condition. But like, so a lot of it supposedly was just him trying to ease the pain in his back. So that's kind of why he'd stand with one knee up or like step over chairs, things like that.
Okay. Then it's maybe more okay. But they could have included that then and just been like,
for sure.
He was hurt.
But they probably can't because in the future they have wave a light on it technology that would solve shit like that.
That's true. I guess that's the problem with this kind of utopian thing where it's like, no, we don't have any reason for people to act weird.
Right. They have to have a space reason for somebody to have a wheelchair or whatever.
Yeah, what if you had some kind of other, like, because they have a lot of different problems with different things. So what if there was something like I have actually, I don't know, like he was born, now I'm thinking like super weird, but like
he was born with like Herpes Omega that destabilized his pelvis.
I was thinking more like he was born without legs or something. It's like, yes, mechanical legs.
My cybernetic hip is acting up.
Yeah.
Shit. So back at the academy, I guess it's not a station. It's on the planet's surface.
It could be a state. You could call it a station, couldn't you? Even if it's not a space station.
Yeah, it's not a town or anything. So Oleana says, like, I have to work so hard to get to this place. I have to push every step of the way. And he's like, oh, I've had to try hard. And she's like, it's a good thing you're cute, Wesley, or you could be really obnoxious. And he is over the moon. She said I was cute, he says to Mordok. Mordok either doesn't think she's actually into Wesley or he doesn't understand human courting rituals. Because he's like, what? I don't see it.
Yeah. Or he's kind of asking for clarification. Like, are you pleased with this? Maybe he doesn't understand human.
Are you two sexually compatible?
Yeah. He doesn't understand human facial expression.
Can I watch?
No, now we get into
stupid. I'm sorry.
Weird other greetings.
Oh. Back on the bridge, Remick says to Riker, let's go. Let's do this shit. More or less. Picard lets him use the ready room. Riker climbs back down onto the seat. He flips Remick some shit. Freeze thought this was a well-directed scene. Like, it could have just been two boring back and forth things, but they have this little view screen between them, and Riker's just flopping around, getting some visual interest. So next begins this process of Remick like floating from one crew member to the next, skipping a ton of lines and like connective tissue. Apparently Freeze wrote all those scenes out and the director was like, we can cut here, we can cut here, we can cut here. So I think it made the dialogue choppier and it made the scenes move more. But at times it felt a little clunky to me.
Yeah, I liked it overall because it's fun to get just you kind of get the idea that this is like the highlight of each scene. And it's like...
Totally.
Yeah. But I also thought it was funny because when he looked at all this, he's talking about like, okay, there are like discrepancies or, and then I was trying to think like, what could it be? Because for one thing I was thinking, okay, maybe it's not at all. It's just like some kind of test. But I thought it could be something that they are like wondering about. Also, I did think like maybe these are not real testers, but I wasn't sure.
Oh.
I assumed they were somehow verified, so I wasn't sure if they could like sneak on and pretend to be testing, but really they are some aliens to invade them or something.
Yeah, like what if what's his name had been a shapeshifter, the Admiral?
Oh yeah.
But he'd have to know tons of stuff because he was close to Picard.
Yeah, but they don't talk so much about the... It could be funny if Picard was like, oh yeah, and remember this part. And it's like, yes.
We've never been to Bulgaria.
Yeah, that would be the test. But I was gonna joke that maybe the discrepancies was that the dates were wrong, because he said that they don't make sense when they have like the different star days. There's like, you put the... Yeah.
Oh man. Freeze said that they actually had a long meeting, like a 20-minute part of a meeting talking about why star dates and what they mean. And then they jumble the episodes all over the place.
Oh no.
And one time they asked Gene, like, but what about leap years? And he abolished leap years.
Yeah, that could be fine, I think. If it's just like in space, who cares about keeping the seasons right? But I mean, it could be, if you want to be like purist, you could be like, okay, this is actually told out of order, so that's why.
I hope some nerd somewhere put them in chronological order. That would be fascinating.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
This
if they
one
did,
would
we could
probably
watch.
come right before that one that pays it off.
Yeah, we should watch like in the future. If we get to season 2, we could watch them in the stardate order and see if it's different.
That's an amazing idea. Okay, Troy is actually here. I figured she'd fix this episode if she was in it, so they don't have her. And then here she is.
Yeah, in just one scene.
And she does not seem to clock that both these two guys are being sincere and aren't actually dickheads. Right? But like, she doesn't tell anyone if she suspects.
But she only met the auditor guy, right? Not the...
Maybe so, yeah. I guess we've only seen her talk to him.
Yeah, so I could see that like, he has been told, there's something wrong with the ship. So he's going around like, there has to be something wrong. And then he comes to her. So all she knows is that he's sincere. And it's really trying to find what is actually wrong.
Next, Wesley's having a little quiet bum out in a deactivated holodeck. What do you think about this move? Like he didn't even turn on the couch set or something. He's just leaning against the wall.
Yeah, I think that he wanted to do his worst fear. So he was trying to think of what to put in the holodeck. But he was like, I don't know. Like, what should I put?
That's fascinating.
I feel like the holodeck could know, though, couldn't it? Because it seems like it's good at getting the right thing, for each person. So he could be like, show me all frightening things,
It's Oleana saying, look, kid, we can't be together. I don't like you. I have a husband. And he runs out crying. This was a mistake.
Yeah, that would be. Well, don't they have no polyamory in this future? It's not like in The Expanse.
Well, but not with a 15-year-old boy, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that would be wrong.
I don't know. What is that?
Sometimes it's hard to have conversations about romance in high school.
It would be funny also, if it's like you have like the Vulcans or something and you said they age much slower. So that there's like, oh, you're only 30, that's gross, I can't be with you. Even though like they intellectually, they know it's like the same maturity, but they're just gonna be like, no, too icky. So you just have to translate your age and be like, no, it's equivalent of this,
Yeah. Well, if you want that in the other direction, you'll have to watch Voyager and meet the character named Kess, who is 2 years old at the start and will die at 9. Real bummer. So Worf shows up. Again, no privacy setting on this program. Maybe it doesn't click on until you start, or maybe he wanted to be like talked to, and so he was just waiting till somebody came in.
Yeah, I think I thought it was weird, but he did agree to leave if he wanted to. So at least that's nice.
I liked Worf saying, like, of course we fear, but we work through it as a warrior. Only fools have no fear. Which apparently contradicts him later in the show where he says that Klingons do not feel fear.
Yeah, that does seem like a contradiction. But I liked him as this coach, that was fun. I thought it would be funny if he was like, having like some kind of episode when he and Wesley had to work together because he could be like Klingon mentor,
Oh, I like that.
And I liked him a lot in the later when he's just like, is it required to like you?
Yes!
His delivery was very funny.
You don't like me much, do you, Worf? Is it required, sir?
Yeah.
So he gives Wes a little pep talk and then we head out. Jake freaked out and he stole a shuttle, apparently because he can't get into the academy. And I think it has something to do with his dad being a jerk. I'm not sure exactly. But he's going off to sign on to a freighter.
Yeah, is this at this point? I feel like there was more happening before that.
Let me back up a little bit.
But I might be confused myself about like...
it goes right from no fear is still my enemy, but I deal with it. Worf's fear is accepting help from others. And then Jake steals the shuttle here.
Weird.
A lot of good shots in this one. They're cutting around the bridge a bunch. They've got a new shuttle set. And Picard guides him down to direct right at the planet and then bounces him off the atmosphere. And I thought they probably teach this at the academy. And if these plot lines were more conjoined, that would have been mentioned. But instead they make Picard like this piloting god who has the secret that nobody else does.
Yeah. I kind of bought it because I felt like this kid messed it up somehow. So the normal course would have been to do the normal thing. But now it's kind of like, oh no, you messed it up and now it's like, you have to do this kind of weird. But yeah, maybe you're right because maybe this is like, I feel like the idea is kind of like, oh, he's old school. He knows how to do it without the computers or whatever.
Oh, I like that.
But it's not really like... there's no reason why that would be the case, but
basically Jake flooded the engine. Geordi says, Captain, he's unbalanced the dilithium reaction. Silly. But yeah, Picard talks him through the process and he survives. Picard says, you'll just have to trust me. And then he says, hold on, Jake, it's going to be a little bumpy. And I noticed there's one of those Christmas light chains, it's like a plastic tube with lights inside it. They had one of those for like a door, at the edge of a door. I thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't think about it. But this auditor guy was like, I felt like, I talked before about having high ceiling. And I feel like here they had too high ceiling. When he was like trying to audit in the middle of this situation, I feel like the first time when he was like, because he said something like, now I don't remember. He said he was commenting somehow in the very start, and I would have been like, get this person out of the bridge, like he cannot be here. Yeah. He's too annoying, and he could be. And then in the second, it's just like blah 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 blah. They're like,
maybe even Picard like points at him to like hold up his hand or whatever, about to send him off the bridge, and then he's like, this will show Remick that I know what the fuck I'm doing. I think that's why my canon is that's why he left him on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that there's like 2 times when he is being disruptive, and I feel like you should only get a half a time, and then you're like having to. But yeah.
And after he succeeds, the guy like holds up his fist and goes, amazing. Incredible. And Riker smiles and is like, yeah. And we're like, holy shit, did Picard turn Remick around, and then Remick comes back around with his bullshit. Like, how did you let a child steal a shuttle?
Yeah, that's true. That is a little bit strange. And I also feel like it's made as some kind of, because we have seen this kind of plot before where it's like there is a test or something and then it shows like, okay, this is made as if it is the end of the test, like that, okay, you succeeded in this test by doing this, but it's really not. We find out that there really wasn't any test. It was just like so I feel like there should have been some other climax, because this was not the actual plot. He was not tested and proving himself. It should be something about like, I don't know, maybe it should have been like interpersonal conflict where it's like this kind of, there's a problem with it causes the strain among the crew rather than like the conflict being against this auditor guy. I know that he's not an auditor, I just keep calling him. Maybe because we talked about Komar before. So
I think they called him an inspector general.
I think that was the office at least. Okay, I should just call him an inspector.
You're right. Maybe a deputy. But yeah, auditor's fine. That's totally a thing. Riker's like about to flip some shit, and Picard's like, full cooperation, number one.
Full cooperation, number one.
Yeah, which he should not have to tell him. Like
yeah, he should be able to just like lift an eyebrow, and Riker has to back off. Back on the station. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on this, comparing to like what we talked about with not having people having painful backs or something. Is that it's the same, that the question is like, how perfect do you make the society? Because it's like, if Riker is always behaving correctly, then there's no conflict either. But I think that he goes too much to because it becomes like kind of unprofessional. I feel like there could be conflict without there being so much like it's still being like in a correct way, I guess.
Yeah, in season 2 he gets a beard and he mellows out quite a bit. I think they realized that because they were pushing all the conflict to non-regulars, and so like you saw a whole different side when like one of the regulars who's normally all sedate and responsible becomes a dickhead because they're up against somebody who's being a jerk or whatever. Back on the planet, we're going back to the test, and 2 ladies walk by with these mini skirts, and I'm like, those costumes look awesome. We never see them on the rest of the ship. Maybe it's to make the station seem more like, I don't know, normal life rather than uptight military life.
But it seemed so uptight when you see it from orbit. It seems very bleak place, So it seems like some kind of isolated testing facility or something, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. Like you said, it's supposed to be a little bit more just like a habitat.
Yeah, I probably would have put some parks around it. But maybe the atmosphere is bad. It looks like
but
a steak after all.
Yeah, I thought it was so, that they have these domes and they cannot even leave and be out on the surface. But could just be that the domes look cool.
If they had potted plants and like an arboretum, made it seem more like livable rather than a shitty place you go off to do tests.
Yeah.
What did you think of the scene with the Zaldan?
Yeah, I liked it. It was fun. It's like and I suppose I would have wanted more of that. So I like this one a lot.
It was a way to show that Wesley knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and it's just fun to have this. I guess that a problem you can get into with this kind of shows is like you make it too human-centric. So there's like everything is... everybody's like very aware of the humans, and the humans is the norm. So I enjoy when they make this kind of thing where it's like, no, you have to actually know the other cultures and what their norms are so that you can interact. You can't just expect everyone to know. You adapt to you.
Wesley's like, it was your mistake. Do you want this to become violent? And it turns out this was part of the test as well.
Yeah. But I wasn't sure. I was thinking it was a test, but I was not. I thought that maybe he failed, so that was a fun twist. That it's like, no, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Or at least something right. I don't know. It could have been. Maybe they wanted him to react some other way.
So I have this theory that because he's so young, they're putting him into these really like tricky adult situations and seeing if he can come out the gate like confident and commanding. Whereas here he like was meek at first. So I'm wondering if there's something to that, like every cadet has to be ready to like go at any moment rather than giving people, like how he lets the coward just clutch to the pole and isn't able to convince him to come out. I think maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, that's true. Like there probably is. You're right. There probably is, even though they're not explicit, like what is your problem that they have to work on. That there probably is some kind of idea about, is he ready or does he need to come back to it?
Yeah, because otherwise we don't really see what he did wrong, and we see so little of Mordok that we don't know how he separated himself. Other than that one weird scene where Wesley gives him advice and he wins.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. That's something that you could have more time if you showed each person and like what were their fear and what was this, Or you could have it, I don't know, I'm thinking about like something like, you could have the aftermath as well if you want. You could have like,
like the Oleana. We could cut to a scene of her like accidentally shooting a civilian or something.
Yeah,
and that's why she's way down on the list. Yeah. Probably not that bad, but something.
Yeah, that could be fun. Just have like some kind of montage. But I guess then you lose a little bit about the nature of the room, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would tip the nature of it. Well, and here again, if it was a Wesley-centered episode, we would really dig into the trepidation before the test starts. Like, we get a little of that with Mordok coming out looking sort of freaked out.
Yeah.
But not enough.
I feel like if you did this one, you should only do the psychological test. You should jump in when he's like, you have now done 10 days of testing, and then you're like going to the day when the psychological test is going to be. And then he can talk to the different people and be like, yeah, how, like, what is, how are you feeling? And they could talk about like, oh, you helped me in this other test, and it could be like this kind of history instead of having to show it, each thing, because it's not that, I feel like, this kind of computer test is not that interesting. Like, usually you don't have a movie that is about like taking this, exam.
Paperwork.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that they should have it like that, because then you feel like it's much more, because now it's like, okay, they're going to have his whole test in just one episode, then you don't really feel like there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, because it's too little time for it.
Yeah, I like the possible episode we could add. So next, Remek's trying to get Data to spill some tea, and Data has absolutely nothing for him. And the only way they can make this scene interesting is to have him keep turning the computer. And Data's like, why are you doing this? I'm a computer. Yeah,
that's true. That's funny.
I know every line of text on this ship. Like, what are you doing?
And I thought it was very intriguing. It was like, your captain is not what he appears to be. And I'm like, ooh, what is this now? So they should have started with that, having like really very, that it's like somehow it's more fun when it's like, oh, it's like about Picard and that is what we are investigating. But in the beginning, they were just like looking at everything, and it felt like a little bit weird.
It is a little strange that it mentions previous events from previous episodes, and one or two of them we skipped.
Oh, I don't know. I felt like I saw all of them, but maybe I'm confusing the names of things.
We didn't cover Angel 1, which is like the all-lady planet, or like the one where ladies are in charge.
Oh, I thought that was the one where they were all like half naked. So I thought it was like because he talked about no, wait, that was not what.
He
when
asked
did he
about
talk
how
about
the
Angel
contaminant.
1?
I think I'm wrong, but this one he asked how the contaminant got on the bridge. Was that the Naked Now?
It was. I think that there was the contaminant. There was like an episode where there was this kind of. I don't know if it was the Naked Now. No, I don't think. I think it was like some kind of contaminant when there was some kind of weird interference, right? That caused Picard to be weird. Now I'm kind of mixing them up, but there was something where there was like some kind of weird brain signal that was like. That made him in like, yeah.
I'm thinking of the Ferengi episode with that orb, but that you couldn't really call that a contaminant. Okay, I'll find out what it was and I'll punch it in here.
Yeah.
This is when Riker says, "You don't like me very much, do you, Mr. Worf?"
No, not Riker. What was his?
Remick. Sorry, Remick asks Worf that, and he says, "Is it required, sir?"
Yeah, but I just want to comment that I always liked Data, and I liked when he was like, no, this is, or maybe that's later. I'm confusing if it's like, did they flip around? Because Data says like, okay, but there is no problem with any of these logs, so the problem has to be you, so he kind of knows the actual plot of this episode.
I love that.
Or kind of reveals it.
There is nothing wrong with Captain Picard or the ship's logs. Therefore, there must be something wrong with your original assumption.
Loyalty is not the issue, Commander. There is nothing wrong with Captain Picard or the ship's logs. Therefore, there must be something wrong with your original assumption.
He's right. So after Worf, Remick just asks Beverly if she's mad at Picard for like letting her husband die. Hardcore. She's like, absolutely not talking about this, Dick. According to Freeze, this is the first time we learn the specifics that Crusher died somehow due to Picard's orders. I feel like we heard about it before, but maybe this fleshed it out a tiny bit.
I don't know. It could have been like, I think that when we first talked about it, then. But it might have just been that you filled in a little bit, like, because we talked about how they had weird interaction, and it was kind of like, wait, are they lovers? It was like, it was a weird, and you were like, okay, maybe like, because he was the boss of her husband that died,
Yeah, they would have known each other way back when. It's so weird how little we get of what it was like with the three of them. I kind of would love a prequel. Maybe when Patrick Stewart dies, they'll give us like a flashback of the three of them like out for drinks or something, and then he dies the next week. I guess I'm thinking of Top Gun.
Is that a requirement? You have to die the next week if you do a flashback.
Excuse me. Maybe the season ends with Crusher eating it. So finally, Picard shuts down the investigation because it's clear the guy has nothing. And he says, "The only thing I'm guilty of is allowing this charade to go on for so long."
The only thing I'm guilty of is allowing this charade to go on so long.
And he's like being all like, you were a bad friend for this. I'm like, that is not the point. Now you're bringing like relationships into it. That was unprofessional, I feel like.
Not okay.
Is this a problem though with the Starfleet thing? Like, do you have too little personal life, so you get like you have to have your crew be your family also. That's not good, I think. They should not be. You should have separate family.
It's a big tension throughout Star Trek, like in all its forms, is what's the balance? You know, very few of the crew have children. Miles O'Brien in Deep Space Nine, we get to know his wife and child. But yeah, it's very rare to get that.
Yeah. And I guess that maybe that is like part of then a little bit part of the problem is that these people, they have a friendship and it's maybe, how would you say it? Like what I mean is that it's like when they meet in this capacity that is purely professional, it's still also like they don't have an option to meet, you know, as friends. So it's almost like if you meet someone that you know, it's like, oh, this is my friend. Like I can only meet him in professional setting. Like he's not, as far as I know, he couldn't just be like, oh, I'm taking a vacation. I will go to join this ship and hang out a little bit with the people here, you know.
I'm going to go see Admiral Quinn, do some, I don't know, visit art galleries. I don't know what Picard is into.
Yeah.
See a symphony. I can't imagine him being like, hey, Quinn, let's play some dice or, you know, go to the strip club. Those are the two things people do, right?
Yeah, you can go to art gallery and play dice or go to strip club.
I don't know, ride tandem bicycles.
That would be you could do that easily, I feel like in the holodeck at least. Yeah. Like a bicycle would be a great thing to do there. Because, yeah. Just
next episode we cut to Quinn and Picard on the holodeck. Riding around San Francisco.
Yeah. But I do feel like that becomes a little bit, that is probably the problem, the underlying problem is that you don't really have like a friend can't just like pop by and hang out, but everything has to be in connection to this professional work. So that does make it weird.
And I think that's a function of an ensemble show is, one, you can't pay people to come back several times. And even you can't mention, well, maybe this wasn't a rule back then, but if you mention a character, you have to pay the original writer. So that it's even hard to like have continuity of relationships. And if you have 7 regulars, like, do you want to spend a lot of time back home fishing or whatever?
Yeah.
Cooking breakfast?
Yeah, it does make it interesting that they have a relationship, because I think that's one of the things that, like, Picard feels like, okay, but you know me. So, but I feel like you could have something where they don't know him. And it's more like, that can make it a little bit more fraught, because then there is a possibility that they could misunderstand or, you know, misjudge it.
Yeah, I guess Remick plays that role in this one.
Yeah.
Or next season in Measure of a Man, the guy that interrogates Data, or whatever, there's a hearing about Data. So Wesley and the recruits are testing. Admiral said that the report's almost ready. So back on the planet, Wes is doing the test. This is that dumb computer test. And we see Mordok struggling, so he assists them. The writer's original idea for Mordok was that he'd be wearing this whole breathing apparatus with all these tubes, and they couldn't afford to make it, so they just gave him this little thing below his face.
Yeah. Well, what do you feel is it that he needs extra moisture, or what is the function of this little harmonica?
I believe they need certain chemicals to breathe properly. Like they're not oxygen allergic. They just need a little something extra. I think that's what we get in later seasons or series. At this point, I thought maybe Mordok is playing him. Like he's getting free advice from him and then he gets like a little smile. But I think at the end, it's clear that like he just really likes Wesley and appreciates his assistance. I wondered if the test, like if Mordok is a ringer and like this part of the test is just see if he's too compassionate to be in Starfleet.
How do you mean a ringer? Like, what is that?
Oh, like he's not actually trying to get into Starfleet. Maybe he's already a member. And it's like or an actor or something. But that seems wrong because everybody in the Next Generation is like, would help anyone. Like it's part of their job. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even if combativeness was useful, I don't feel like they would be openly being like, we want you to be more competitive, even though it could be useful in certain situations.
So Lieutenant Chang says helping him was an interesting choice, and he admits that Wes and Murdoch are on the top of the listing. And this is where I was like, well, they should cut those two. But then I'm like, the optics of that are bad because they're women. Like, you don't want to cut them out of the episode halfway through.
Do you think, I mean, maybe if they failed the last test, totally.
Why don't they just give us a leaderboard with like point scores for each of them?
Yeah.
It's 4 lines.
It does feel a little bit strange also to even announce this. I think it would have been better if they had a scene where they could talk to each other and they could be like, oh, who do you think is good doing the best? You know, is it me? Is it me? Because now it feels, like you said, a little bit weird to be just like, you two are the leading, and like the other two are not.
Yeah, we didn't even get like some bitterness from those two. Although again, one of them's a Vulcan, so that would be weird. So Remick arrives, and there's still 10 minutes in this episode, and this plot is being resolved. It seems premature.
Yeah. Also, it was funny that Picard didn't get a seat. He was just like standing around.
I went a little too far. Oh yeah, he is, because the Admiral. It's kind of the Admiral's office at this point. Yeah,
it just feels like kind of strange if it's like, oh yeah, you are welcome to join us, and then it's like, no, you cannot join us. You just have to stand by the side.
I almost think it was a power move for him to be higher than Remick, as Remick admits that he found nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if he was standing, but there should be a seat available, and then he could stand by his side. Like, no, I'm not gonna sit.
Yeah, so it turns out he wants to serve on the Enterprise. And that was a very bold move. Picard is clearly not impressed. So the Admiral says, I need people I can trust. We talked about this before. Like, he wants him to be Commandant of Starfleet Academy so that there's people he can trust, like, in the inner circle. I thought maybe this plot line could have been woven into Wes's plot. Like, come join me at the Academy and you can bring Wes regardless of how this test turns out. But that would make him look shady.
Yeah.
You know, and would weaken Wes's achievement, so they probably can't do that.
Yeah, but it could be, I feel like you could somehow connect it, that it's like, maybe you could connect it a little bit more, like maybe he gets the spot, and then, you know, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I would have loved to see Picard command Starfleet Academy for a few episodes. That'd be awesome.
He could be a guest speaker or something like.
Yeah, we see him in a tweed jacket, like reading glasses.
Yeah, and just being like in The Martian or something in the end, like, this is what I learned when I was stuck on the ship without any crew or whatever. But I liked this twist because I didn't really see this alternative. I thought that either was like they were somehow testing the crew to see how they could hold up, you know, or they were like, or that there was actually a real concern of something, or that they were somehow faulty, like people, like they were frauds.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that they would like specifically like, oh, we're gonna like test him about a promotion.
I feel like it's a risky strategy when writing a story to take all the teeth out of it. Like, there's no consequences. Like, they're all fine. And like, he doesn't even take the job. So it's like, there's no real effect.
Yeah.
Until that next episode, 4 episodes away, where something
No
comes of it.
spoilers. But yeah, I agree. That's like why it is the problem. That it's like this should have been some other, like you shouldn't have made a whole conflict this thing that turns out to be nothing, because then it's like his resolution with the other, the Jake guy, that doesn't really match this. There should be some kind of like Riker conflict, I feel like, where Riker should be like, no, I have to protect the captain, and then he's being stupid or something. That could be the conflict.
God, that sounds great. I wrote here, maybe this would be more impactful if the actors playing Remick and the Admiral were better. And I stand by this because Wesley is giving one hell of a performance. I feel like Will Wheaton doesn't put a foot wrong in this one. So the director is clearly doing stuff. There's a style to the episode with the shots and the movement. I think it's these two guys.
Yeah.
Let's see. On that issue, Sandy Fries said something really nice about Will Wheaton. He said, well, he played this episode when he was super ill. And he was like, as soon as the cameras were rolling, he like held all his coughs in, and it was incredible. He said that Wheaton's autobiography is really well written. And I just wanted the listener to go check out this video of Will Wheaton reading a bit about William Shatner and meeting him for the first time. I believe it's called William fucking Shatner, and it's incredible. So yeah, the dude wants to serve on the Enterprise. Let's see. Mordok's psych test is over. It's time for Wes to go in. And here we see the worst set in all of Star Trek. Like, it's clear they forgot to do this one, and they're like, oh crap, that other set's not ready. I don't know, throw a carpet down. Grab one of those chairs from the writer's room. I mean, the walls are blank and like kind of muddy. The ground is like linoleum or something. It's incredible. And Will gives this great performance amidst this just tacky ass room.
Yeah, but do you think that it's supposed to be tacky? Because it's like he goes in there and he's just like, oh, there's nothing here. Like, it's like almost it is, as like you said, it's like just like this leftover room, and maybe that's part of it, that you get unbalanced because you don't feel like this is like anything.
It's unsettling, and it's like it's just him on this little chair in the middle of this big empty space. Yeah. Okay. It was a directing choice. I love it. Yeah, and then he hears noises, so he rushes out into the hall. There's nobody out there.
And I thought that the hall was, I thought that this was like a hologram. But then it seems like this was all just they staged this all.
Yeah.
In the actual space.
I think that's why it had to be in this isolated dome, because they have complete control of the environment and there's no randos getting involved. Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. But I thought, like, because I knew it was part of the test, but I thought that it would be kind of like a hologram, so that when it ended, it would just be like... And they were like, okay, now we're back to the normal space. And actually, there was not any of this environmental control thing was not a thing.
Instead, they're just pouring liquid hydrogen into this room.
Yeah. And how,
what the fuck?
like, would you be able then to feel, like, I don't know. It seems also like a little bit hard to control, so that it's like safe for everyone.
Yeah. Maybe it's just like steam that they're pumping out. But I feel like Wesley would notice.
Yeah, that's what I feel. But maybe it's not cold enough. It's just like kind of cold. And then yeah.
So he's screaming, there's something wrong with the environmental lab. But there's no console. There's no tricorder. So he has no idea what he's rushing into.
Yeah.
And he goes in anyway. He opens the door. He sees this wild scene. One guy is trapped under a pipe. And the other's just over in the corner losing his shit.
It must have been fun. Imagine if you were like the employee and it's like, now you have to be like, ah!
Now, do you think they're actually Starfleet officers or are they actors? Or are they both? They're actors who mostly, or they're Starfleet officers who mostly act.
Oh yeah, their only job is like to be this kind of actors for recruits. I feel like they would be actors. You know, they have so many people, so they could bring out the things that they need, right? They don't have to have people doing double duty.
Man, that'd be a fun job, just pretending to be a Starfleet officer. Or a Klingon, whatever. Yeah, they have a whole makeup department. So the coward's tripping, Wes drags out the hurt guy, and they really stretched this scene out. Like, another thing about pacing, they've got all these, like, jumping from one thing to the next, but here they're, like, luxuriating in their set, and there's smoke, and he's dragging the guy. My theory on why he doesn't win outright after this is because he can't convince that guy to come out.
Yeah. And that is, you know, tied to the other scene. So maybe that is some kind of tie where you see Picard manages to get the kid
shit.
To
Picard
follow
and
his
Jake,
orders.
Thematically relevant. But that means we should probably get more Jake and less of something else. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jake could have been there in this audit thing. He could have been like, you know, why didn't you get into this? And he could be like, oh no, now I'm sad.
Yeah, if he had been one of the two ladies and then they get cut.
Oh, yeah.
That's when he steals the shuttle. Oh,
yeah.
Hey now.
But I was actually thinking more that it was like when he's on the ship and this inspector guy, maybe the inspector guy would talk to him and be like, oh, you know, you're part of why this ship is weird. Like, why didn't you get into this academy? Like, that
what is it exactly that you do here?
Yeah.
What would you say you do here?
Because he kind of digs into everything, so maybe he would be like, what is wrong with you? You know, and then this kid would be like, no!
The pressure gets to him and he just loses it. So it turns out that was the test, and Lieutenant Chang says, you had to make a choice, and you did. There's no right or wrong about it. Your greatest fear is that you had to make that decision. He had to decide between saving one guy or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Freeze said he was intentional about drawing a line between that test and Picard maybe could have chose to save Jack Crusher, but he chose someone else. We don't get the exact details, so it's hard to know what he was thinking there.
Yeah. But
so Picard's... oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I guess that I thought I did like it as a test, but I think that what maybe Wesley realizes that it is not that hard to make this kind of decision, because like he would want to help someone, and he would like, I feel like in the moment it feels natural to do one thing, and then maybe later on that's when you would be like, oh, I could have saved both of them, but I think that's not the problem that you have in the moment, I imagine.
Man. Yeah, and if we had seen Mordoc's or somebody else's where they're like where he like bellows at them and gets them to like get their shit together and come out, we could see the difference, but instead we just have to speculate.
And really, if they inspected Picard more, you know, more in detail, because now it feels like they just throw a lot of stuff out there that it's not really, there's no theme to it. It's just like in the end we realize, okay, there's no real meat behind this. But if there was some kind of like Picard trial or something, that it was like, okay, but like, did you do the right thing? I guess in the way that we see Wesley, you know, showing, does he have what it takes to be like an officer? Then you could have had a trial for the existing officers, like, do you have what it takes, you know? And it's not really brought up that much You know, you could have like some kind of theme, like what is the underlying. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to
I like where you're
tie
going.
it together.
Yeah. So Picard has a little bum out. Riker comes in. He tells him about the job offer. Riker is like lit up. This is one of those moments in the episode where he's smiling. He's all excited for Picard. A more cynical person would think he's like, I'm going to get this job. But I don't think that's what was going on.
No. And I think that it's nice because it's like, it does show that he doesn't think about it in terms of the ship. And like, oh, you know, like... It does seem, like you said, he's only excited for Picard. Like, and that's what he's happy about.
Yeah. So back on the planet, Lieutenant Chang tells everyone they did a great job, but for some reason, only one of them can get in. And it's Mordok, first Benzite in Starfleet. Oh, yeah. So I talked about maybe Wes should have talked that guy out, or maybe he has a higher bar because he's only 15. He'd have to be the youngest cadet in Starfleet history, right?
Yeah. When you said this again with the first Bensai, maybe Wes is like, oh, it was only like, what do you call it? Like, it was like slotting him in, you know, because they have no Bensai.
Oh, no. It's all about, this is a conservative episode about affirmative action.
Yeah.
Yikes. Oh, I noticed Wes watched Oleana leave the room, and I was like, I get it, dude. I know what that's like. His eyes are like locked on her. It's awesome. All right. So the Jake plot line, we get a little more of like Picard's sensitivity and his willingness to give second chances. But I love this moment where he says, "You saved my life." And he goes, "That's my job, young man." And I think a different character would be like, "That's my job, young man." You know, give him a finger point or something. But instead, he just kind of gets a 1,000-yard stare and ponders. We learn kind of later in the series that like Picard was kind of like that, sort of brash and mercurial. So maybe he's like having a flashback. So Picard comes to the conference room where Wesley is having his own bum out. He admits he fails. He says, "I failed you and I failed the Enterprise." And Picard goes, "Ridiculous."
Ridiculous.
And then proceeds to give him a stern pep talk.
You have to measure your successes and your failures within, not by anything that I or anyone else might think.
And then
Which
he
one?
admits...
Yeah.
Say again?
No, say you can finish, and then I will ask you another thing.
He admits that he failed his test the first time.
No, I was just gonna joke, like, which one had the better pep talk? Was it Worf or Picard? Because those are the two that are, like, given for Wesley in this episode.
Gosh. I mean, he failed the test, so I think Worf loses. You know what I mean? But Picard didn't give him a pep talk, so maybe it's a wash. I don't know. Maybe if in the next episode Wes distinguishes himself, we can put that on Picard.
Oh, that's true. So you feel like this is depending on what he does as a result. That's what. Because, yeah, the only thing Picard managed to do was to get him to a dinner. So that's not that much of an accomplishment. I want to say I don't like these robes that the Picard had, like the dress uniform.
Dress uniform. Yeah.
But it is interesting. It's always hard when you're going to make like some kind of future fashion because I'm sure like a lot of our fashion looks really stupid if you're coming from like the past, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of it would probably look cool, but some of it would just be like, what? Why are you having this, you know? So it's hard to make fashion that is like, looks both futuristic, but also like aesthetically pleasing because it is a lot about what you're used to.
Right. Well, and it's a lot to put on a costume designer. Like, we want something that connotes the future, but is also sweet, right? Like, it's kind of like writing a song for a movie where it's in, like, the characters in the movie wrote it. Like, how good is it going to be, really?
Yeah, that's true. And it's like you can get trapped in also trying to look futuristic, which it can in itself look kind of weird, because then it becomes like different eras will have different kind of future fashion. So you also cannot replicate what they did in the past.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we went to the 70s, we'd be like, well, I see the bell bottoms, but there's a lot of other shitty clothes here, you know? It's like only the best stuff kind of survives. And
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. I am not an expert in fashion. I just want to put that on the record.
Yeah. I like, though, in Looper, they have like different, like all of the present, they have like your suits, but it is like, no, this is just the fashion, the current fashion. People have suits and thin ties, you know, and like 20 years in the future, everybody has like these super weird, like big hats and stuff. And then I guess for me, you know, what I'm used to seeing in my everyday life.
Yeah.
So I think that's fun. They could just been like, no, actually, this is right now. It's fashion for everybody to wear like what do you call it, like tuxedos or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it'd be rad if suddenly the Starfleet uniform was super cool and people are just wearing that out.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
But oh, you mean like now? It's been like in the present. Yeah. I think it's also funny because I remember hearing, at least from my father, he said that one point in Sweden they tried to make the uniforms a little bit more fashionable. You know, instead of just having like the standard uniforms, they were like, oh, but what if we do it like a little bit more, you know, so they look a little bit more nice, you know, and they had to like scrap them all after a while because like no, they look stupid, you know, because they were too much of the time. Yeah.
I think fashion connotes like a year or 5, not 40. I don't know how long uniforms have to last, but
yeah,
trends come and go. Like, what if you had like super wide lapels, you know, like
yeah.
could be really silly.
I would be interested in seeing some, you know, like, is there movies or TV that really has really nice fashion that you feel is like timeless? Because maybe listeners could write in, tell us about the fashion.
It's usually period shows. I'm having trouble thinking of a future show.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like
Quantum Leap,
some.
Al had terrible fashion.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I would have to take your word. But yeah, it's like when you look at, you know, is there any show that takes place in the future where the fashion is not just a copy of past fashion, but actually looks nice, you know?
Oh,
except like
actually innovating? Yeah, I think that's super rare.
Yeah, I guess it could be something like, you know, there's some stories where it's like the fashion is a really big deal, and then I think that it's can be kind of nice. Like I'm thinking like the Hunger Games or something. Then everybody wears wild costumes, and I buy that this is fashion at least, and some of it looks cool. But
yeah, it sounds really cool in the book. I think they like went pretty close to it, but like the body mods they didn't do much with.
That's true. Not so much
yeah, the
different
clothes in that movie
colors.
are fucking fantastic.
Yeah. But I wonder, you know, if you try to do like everyday fashion, if you could make something that really felt like it was. Maybe the problem is to make it futuristic. Maybe you have to make it like, oh, this is just normal clothes.
Yeah. Well, in Star Trek, there's Lwaxana Troi, and every time she walks on, she's got like a new gown with wild designs. I think that's probably the closest we get to somebody that's like keeping up with the fashion.
Yeah. I mean, I did say that I don't like the robes, but it would have been funny to see everyone in the robes, just to see how they would look.
And like more glitter, maybe some embroidery.
Oh yeah, kind of like what were the women's robes? Did they have any kind of jewelry or anything?
Yeah, maybe the fashion this year is like super low cleavage. Or later seasons, there's like the Klingons will come on and they'll have a boob window. It's hilarious. So the Admiral heads out. He shakes Picard's hand. He wished he could have convinced him. And then he goes, perhaps I see conspiracies everywhere. That's ominous. On the bridge, Picard gives Wes the order, and Troy and Riker in the background looking on in admiration. And I think it's for Wes being there, or maybe it's for Picard honoring his work. I don't know. Maybe both. Yeah, so here are my comments. This was a weird one. So many good parts, but a clunky collection of things. I kind of wish they'd split these into two to give each plot its own weight. Maybe we meet Jake's dad, see more of the test, find out why they only get to have one winner, how many of these sites there are, and to find out why Remick and the Admiral are acting so weird.
Yeah, I definitely felt like Jake needed more time. But I did like the way that they started it with just being like, oh, Jake, blah, blah, blah. But then you have to kind of go back to see, okay, what is this person? Why do I care about them?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had a lot to do, and they did it all right. So I think my last thing is, did you get any sort of like message or, I don't know, feeling about human beings or anything?
Not maybe about human beings, but I did think there was some kind of, like we talked about with the parallels between Wesley's story and the thing about Jake, that it was supposed to show somehow like what... I guess there's no answer. Maybe it's just bringing up the question that I assume that all of the characters are always like asking themselves like what makes a good officer in this like context. So, but it's not about answering that. It's more like they are all very upset that there are a question or that there's like any question about. So I feel like it's a sore spot for everyone, you know. It's not like they're like, oh, whatever, you know. It's just like, no, how dare you? You know?
I mean, everyone loves Picard too much, so they like can't be objective, you know. Except for Data, which is probably my favorite scene in the whole episode.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, I think that it's like, because it's okay. It's just more that idea that if they knew that, okay, but for sure he has done nothing wrong, then I don't think they would be as upset. You know, it's like the idea that maybe there is some misunderstanding, like maybe they will actually think that this was wrong or there was something wrong, you know. I think that's what it comes to. So there is some kind of insecurity at the bottom of it, that they really feel like, oh wow, like there's danger here. And then I think that is connected then to Wesley's story when he is being tested and he's like, okay, but do I have what it takes? And it's the same with the other characters. They are not sure, you know. They have some fear deep down, you know, that they might be, yeah.
Yeah, I guess fear was a big theme. The like, can I be good enough? Sandy Freeze said something interesting. He said, if Captain Picard can admit failure, if Wesley fails, I as a viewer can give myself permission to fail.
But Picard, when did Picard fail? Just by letting it go on for too long? I don't feel like that was a failure.
He admitted that he failed his test the first time.
Okay. I don't know if that counts, because it's like, no, this was
like
the
past.
past.
It's like a tossed off line. Yeah, we don't see it happen.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of like, maybe that makes it feel like you can fail, but then once you're, like you can fail first, but once you're like in a position, then you cannot fail. And that is kind of like the failure is once you made it, then you can never fail again, kind of.
Could Picard think he failed by letting this investigation go on? Because he seemed to like be really annoyed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the closest we could come to, but I feel like, yeah, they could have been a little bit more about the failure. Like maybe he could have questioned himself more and be like, you know, like maybe I did not do something wrong. Like I'm trying to think of it.
If they'd killed Jake, that would be a failure.
This is the ending, like, oh, you know, everyone makes failures. Everyone fails at some times. Yeah. I mean, it could... Yeah, I don't know. It's... It depends on where you want to take it. What did you think? Did you feel like it was the fear was the human story, or what do you think was the underlying theme?
But again, I felt like it should have been more of the focus rather than just one more bit of it. Because that scene with Worf was so strong. Wesley in that shitty room was like strong. Like there were moments that I feel like we could have zeroed in on more.
Yeah, that's
why
true.
Jake stole a shuttle, you know, it's pretty abrupt.
Yeah, that's true. They could have had like his dad, you know, I suppose his dad is supposed to be at this ship, but if not, it could have been his dad calling like, I can't wait to hear what, like the nice results.
Like his dad thinks he's gonna be in the thing. Yeah, that'd be awesome. What if Wesley was a villain that cheated to get his spot?
Yeah, there should be. But I'm thinking also, you know, maybe the problem with this is that they should have, like, if they have one teenage character, maybe they should have more. So that it's like, because it's like, it's hard to do the, but I suppose that's connected to like the guest stars, like you said, that you have to have like a regular crew and you can't just have like this kind of wobbly cast where it's like sometimes people are not there and sometimes they are. But I feel like if it was just to the quality of the show, then it would have been nice to have like a big cast, you know, because you have this big ship. Bring in that historian guy, bring in Jake, you know, whenever, and just have them be in some scenes, you know. I'm
Jake's
thinking like
just fucking up every few episodes.
yeah, I'm thinking kind of like a Scrubs type of thing, where it's just like this random, like, oh, I have this snake, you know, and it's just like you see them just having a random scene.
Oh, that's that snake guy again.
Jake with snake.
I wish we had unique show titles for this one, because that would be great. Jake with snake. All right. Well, thank you for putting up with me for another 2 hours, Sophia. This was fantastic. Next time, I think we're going to do... Oh, gosh. I'm going to pull it up. Sorry. I thought I had this page pulled up. Oh, I know what I can do. I can just leave the episode. So, Season 19, Heart of Glory, is a Worf Klingon episode where we actually learn what Worf's whole deal is.
Yay!
So I don't know how good it is, but we are going to watch it.
Yeah.
Assuming you want to keep watching Star Trek.
Yeah, sure. I think that Worf is maybe my third favorite character, so that would be fun. Even if we'll see if it's good then.
Maybe they'll mention this bit about fear, like everyone feels fear. That'd be fun if they tied those things together.
Yeah.
All right. Recommendations? You come across anything interesting?
I don't feel like I have anything new. I've been so caught up in my business and starting that, so I've been mostly just rereading stuff, and so I don't really have anything new.
Okay. I was going to mention that I read the novelization of Star Trek 2009, the movie one, but it wasn't, it wasn't good enough to get my seal of approval.
You just give the anti-recommendations. It's like, oh, okay, this one was all right.
Yeah, so I just went to Worldcon, so I met all kinds of writers and all sorts of authors. Martha Wells, author of Murderbot, was there, and she read a bit of a new Witch King novel. Witch King is like a fantasy thing where like there's a demon guy and it's his story. It's very cool. I highly recommend it. But I didn't read that this week. I read Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which, while it wasn't my favorite of, I liked his other book, Service Model, better. but it is quite good. So that'll do it. I don't think I have anything else of note. But I don't know if I've mentioned on here the Tainted Cup. It actually won the Hugo, and it's fucking incredible. There's like giant kaijus that are attacking the Empire, and the Empire is this like shitty bureaucracy, and there's a murder mystery. It's really cool. The Tainted Cup by John something Bennett, I think. But yeah, look out for him. He's got a new second book in the series coming out this year, so I'm about to go read that, and I'll check in next time. I think that's everything. Did you have a favorite quote from this episode?
I didn't write it down. I think that the one from that Data says is the favorite. But then you could, I don't know. The one I wrote, for example, your captain is not what he appears to be, but that didn't turn out to be anything. But I did like that one in the moment.
Oh, yeah. Data he's like, if there's nothing wrong on the ship or the logs, there's something wrong with you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I was thinking, I failed you and I failed the Enterprise. Ridiculous. Or you saved my life. That's my job, young man.
Yeah, I like that one.
I'm probably going to go with the Data one, though. That's good. Or, Captain, he's unbalanced the dilithium reaction. Just to get Geordi in this episode. All right. Thank you so much. It's good to see you again. And we'll do Heart of Glory in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, people don't find you on the internet, but if you want to find me, The Great and Secret Knowledge is on Facebook. We have an email, greatandSecretKnowledge@gmail.com. You can find me everywhere at El Jefe Tacoma, and the other things I do are in my Facebook bio and my Blue Sky bio, so check that out. I don't have to rattle them off again here. So thanks for staying up, Sophia, and we'll see you real soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
There is nothing wrong with Captain Picard or the ship's logs. Therefore, there must be something wrong with your original assumption.
A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James.
There's no AI in this episode, so we gotta shut it down. But yeah, I should probably just have a weekly rant on YouTube or something.
The only thing I'm guilty of is allowing this charade to go on so long.